Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back to the basics. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocketjack Comics, who have books like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily, and you can find their books at pocketjackcomics.com and on Kickstarter. If you type in Pocketjack Comics or Palace of the Golden Princess or White Lily, it will pop up. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator Rob Multari. So welcome back to the show.
No, thank you for having me back on.
Now, I'm always happy to have you on, and obviously you've been on a bunch of times, and you got a lot going on. Obviously, you have a fully funded Nightwolf issue 11 that is on Kickstarter, but that doesn't mean you're done. You got about 2 weeks left. So, we're going to talk about it, I promise everybody. But before we do, why don't you quickly introduce who you are, because people know you and people don't know you, and I just want to get everybody the quick introduction before we really get into Nightwolf and all the fun stuff in comics and some other cool stuff that you got going on.
Right on. Yeah. So I am Rob Multari. I'm the creator and writer of Nightwolf and the spinoff series Snowpaw, as well as the founder of Lone Wolf Comics. And I've been doing this since 2017. So I'm coming up on my next year. It'll be my 10-year anniversary since I've been officially publishing. You can find me at Lone Wolf Comics on Facebook, X, Instagram, and lonewolfcomics.com.
So let's get into Nightwolf, because again, we're going to do the quick introduction here because there's 10 issues. We're not going through all 10 of them.
11 issues. 11.
Then I was getting to that. I was saying there's 10 published.
I see. Gotcha.
I mean, the 11th isn't published yet. It's technically, you're funding the 11th, and we'll get to people's hands soon enough, hopefully. Knock on wood, any delays. But there's 10 issues that are prior to this issue.
Yes.
And so, what is the basic story? Because we're not going to go spend the next hour going through every single issue. I promise.
So basically the pitch is, it's a story about a young man who finds out that he's born a werewolf, gets thrown into a supernatural war against demons, witches, vampires, other werewolves. And, he starts out as a, high school kid, full ride scholarship to the college of his choice. And he's got this hot girlfriend and a bunch of friends. And, once on the night of his 18th birthday, that all gets ripped away. And, basically shit ensues.
To go a little bit into it and to provide a little bit more detail, obviously, he kind of gets attacked out of nowhere. There's a whole fight scene that kind of rips it away.
Mm-hmm.
A vampire kidnaps his girl,
Mm-hmm.
and then he meets another fellow werewolf, and then there's like werewolf factions, and some are on the side of these demons and these vampires and these mystical creatures, as I like to call them, of the dark arts. I like to go it that way. And then, he's kind of, figuring out how to level up, know his skills, and, going through hell mentally and figuratively in issue 10. Not to spoil anything, but he does wind up in purgatory at some point. And
look, I can't make it easy for him. Like this whole, the whole like, superhero arc. I feel like a lot of them, like, kind of the good ones are the ones that have the tragedy there, right? You got your Batmans who lose his parents and he has to have his journey. You got Spider-Man losing Uncle Ben, right? He was being selfish and then Ben dies. You know what I mean? You got to have like some kind of tragedy to make it interesting.
Look, Maggie Green loses Herschel, her father, and he had to go.
Right?
You're from Walking Dead. Because you don't know Walking Dead's a superhero book, right? If you didn't know it, now you do.
They had to survive somehow, right?
No. Let's actually talk about issue 11 and everything that's going on, because this is the first issue that I feel that these characters are not getting the shit kicked out of them, and they finally get a W to some degree in this whole book. For the last 10 issues, this guy has been getting the living shit kicked out of him one way or another. What is, like, his car gets ruined in the process? Like he loses his girl. I think his house gets destroyed. He gets his ass kicked in multiple ways from multiple creatures. He has to be saved by somebody who's almost 200 years older than he is. He's not having a very good track record. And this is the first, he goes and he gets trapped in purgatory. This is like the first time in the whole series, in this issue, that he finally gets a win. And it's not even a major win. I mean, I think he winds up kind of getting his girl back to some degree, but like, what is that like? Because it is a pivotal moment.
I
Because
mean, remember, we got one more issue of this story arc after this one, so you're kind of getting ahead of yourself. Like, yeah. So yeah, he made it out of purgatory. That's a win. And now him and Snowpaw and Night Hunter are they're finally taking the fight to them instead of they're playing offense instead of defense. So we'll say that. But I mean, there's still some twists coming, man. I can't get too much into it, but there's some twists that kind of gonna occur.
but like my point though that I'm getting at where I think this is getting interesting is that like this is the first time in a while that like because it's kind of like because I was speaking to somebody on Tuesday night and we are talking about like superhero arcs and how some people like to write their heroes in their story or their I think it's the protagonist if I'm not mistaken where your protagonist is on top. So I was comparing it to a Shakespeare play, right?
Okay.
The first arc is all villains and it's going that direction. The second arc is going the other way. And then the third arc or the third act is everything can go to whatever way it wants to go to. And sometimes it ends for the good guys, sometimes it ends for the bad guys. It's whatever. But at the third act, all hell breaks loose.
Yes.
And so it's very interesting that I find when people write their characters and how they do it, because sometimes it's fun to have your character be unbeatable for the first 5 issues of your story arc and be so skilled out. And then it's their downfall and their rise back up, right? Because that's an interesting story. And then conversely, sometimes you want to have them beaten down so that they are forced to evolve and they're at their lowest position and they rise all the way back up from that point, but they're getting the shit kicked out of them. And that's how I feel like Nightwolf's been written, is that Rodney.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, because he starts off on the high note, every, high school boy's dream, like everything going well for him. And then, I had to rip that rug out from under him to make it, so like you said, to kind of like beat him down to like start, pounding the metal into a fine, refined weapon, right?
But it's also not even that. I mean, he's still stupid to some degree.
I mean, he is 18 and 18-year-olds aren't as smart as people want them to believe.
Because it's interesting, right? Because even though they're taking a fight to the offense, the reason why he got trapped in purgatory is because he was kind of stupid, and there was other things he's done that were stupid before this, and then he's done something somewhat stupid in this issue. I mean,
he's like a puppy, slow to learn.
you would think after 3 times, like
I've had dogs. I have, I've had, dogs from the puppy age all the way up, all the way through their lifespan. And let me tell you, the puppy stage lasts too long and they don't learn until it's until you're like one day, oh, you actually did learn.
I'm just saying after 3 times, you would tend to think that he'd be like, oh, I get it now. But like
you don't have kids, do you?
I don't have kids, but I have a dog. I have a dog, and I would say that when she was a puppy, she wasn't perfect, but she was better than most. But it took her about 6 months to figure out where to go to the bathroom. So
right. I mean, as a dog does, but
she's pretty good now too. I mean, she's 12, so she doesn't really have an excuse. But not the point. So I'm just saying that if my dog who's 12 knows how to behave, I think Rodney doesn't have much of an excuse. Is all I'm going with here.
Well, like I said, you don't have kids. I have a 17-year-old, I have a 15-year-old, and I have a 8-year-old, and none of them listen, and they all still make the same mistakes that I keep telling them about themselves. And that's life, man. You got to live and learn, and once you learn, you learn. But apparently, it's one of those things that you just keep making that mistake until it's going to keep hurting you until it's finally kicks in. And you have to also, with werewolf lifespan, he's still a puppy in a way. That's why I kept bringing up the dog analogy, because like it's kind of like reverse dog years if you think about it, and that's why like Snowpaw is being 200 years old. She's at the age where she's probably like in her like late 20s, 30s in retrospective, like as we're in a werewolf lifespan, right? So he's still he is still a puppy, you know, and he's still making puppy mistakes. Though I have to say though too, in that same sense, even though Snowpaw is 200 years older than him, she still makes similar mistakes that she's made in the past when it comes to like, you know, try like her the way she sees things with like Black Claw, like revenge and stuff. You know what I mean? Like she gets a little short sighted as well.
But even to go further into this, because obviously, I mean, they wind up surviving a fight and they finish a fight to some degree in this issue as well. And I mean, this is where it gets really interesting, this whole book, because at this point, as you stated, I mean, obviously, he charges into something when he shouldn't have.
Mhm.
And it creates an interesting situation, for lack of a better word. But, you know, they're also now getting to a point where it's kind of like, you know, as I stated, I mean, they now have allies to
Mhm.
some degree. This is the first time, really, issue 10, issue 9, 10, 11, that there's a coalition being built. Or, you know, and I'm going to dub it, you know, and it's the W fighters. Because I wanted to use that. It's very much like when Goku met Krillin, and then he met Tien and Chatsu, and then he met Yamcha. It's like the Z fighters, just Wolfpack style, and it's a W fighters. So like, you have it here. We got the symbol right here. Okay. But that's what it looks like. I mean, I call it like I see it. I'm sorry. But like that's the other thing too, that why I think this is getting really interesting is that, all jokes aside, we're finally now having a real, I wouldn't say the power is even in this circumstance, but
No,
it's
definitely not.
becoming more even, or it's at least now not 1 against 99. It's more like 3 against 97. And it might not seem like a big deal, but if all of a sudden you have two other people fighting with you and the enemy lost two in the fight, I wouldn't say it's a big shift, but it's a little shift.
Mhm.
And it's a big shift in this book in the temporary, because and so like that's why I think this issue is so interesting, is that we're finally now seeing that things are moving, and they're moving towards the heroes and protagonist side versus them getting destroyed for the last 10 issues.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to finally take the fight, you know, to them, and then like having with you know Nightwolf having two skilled fighters that have been at it, you know, definitely it takes having an advantage on his side for once, and yeah, it's like I said, there's a lot going to happen in this issue very quickly. You know, like it as do most things with a twist that kind of take things sideways.
Again, I'm not pressing too hard on it because I don't want to ruin too much of it. But also the way I feel is that, because I've been interviewing you for a while and I've seen it, is that the story to me also, and I don't know how you feel about this, is that it has almost been really linear, in which that events have just happened in order, and it's always been like, great, we're going to this point, to this point, to this point. And I
Mhm.
feel like this story arc, and in particular this issue, we're finally cracking open a lot of stuff, and we're kind of breaking this thing out. And you know, I don't know if that was intentional, but it feels like, you know, we're now breaking open the world and we're having a lot more breathability, I guess, because it feels like this whole story up to, you know, the first 10 issues has been very tight, and now we're getting to the point where it's like breathability, and that's how I'm reading it and seeing it. And throughout just looking at every campaign and all the interviews we've done and hearing how the story has evolved, that's how I'm seeing it, is that this is the great, now they could bring a fight to the enemy versus the enemy bring a fight to them. Now they are more super powered up. they have more training and there's allies fighting. And so now it's just I feel like there's more maneuverability in the comics.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point of the story that personally I've been waiting to get to. Like, I feel like of all the issues in the 12 issue story arc, this one and issue 12 are probably my favorites because this is where I really wanted to get to. And you know, because like I had the beginning as like, you know, when you first start the idea, right? You have your beginning and you have your end. Well, a lot of the journey is what's happening in the middle. That's what you have to figure out to make sure that you're needling that thread to the point where one, it's enjoyable, makes sense, and you know, is cohesive. So like everything then ties together properly. But like this was the issue when I wrote it that I knew I was like, all right, this is the one where it's going to be very enjoyable. A lot of action, a lot of things happen. You know, and a lot of like I said, the twist is going to be great. And like I said, issue 12, it just is that next, like I said, it's just so much to say. I can't.
Right? I don't know how much of a WWE fan you are and a wrestling fan you are. I'm a huge one. And the payoff, what WWE did with John Cena leading up from the Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber and that whole thing, what they did with Cody Rhodes and all of that, and that big payoff was great. And there's a position setting up a payoff. And they've done it with Seth Rollins on certain things when he dropped the crutches at SummerSlam and cashed in. Money in the Bank, like that payoff was great, faking the injury. And there's something to be said about having payoff issues. And I don't know how you feel about that, but like there's something to be said from and maybe not even so much as a writer, but just as a reader, that you're like, oh, we've been waiting and this has been building for the last 3, 4, 5 issues. And now we're getting that payoff. Because as a reader and as a consumer, and even just from a business standpoint, if you don't have a payoff in your book at some point and it's not monumental or it misses, I'm like, what the hell did I just spend $100 in the last 5 issues with your shit on? What the fuck? Right? Like, and that's from a reader's perspective. And I think there's something to be said about that. And as a writer and as a creator, you have to be realizing that if I don't give the reader a payoff for all of this, whether you're writing DC books for $5 every month or working on Kickstarter every quarter, it doesn't matter. You still need the payoff.
Right. Yeah. But you also still have to set up the next story arc too. I mean, you can't just have a flat, okay, this is the end of the story, right? You know, you gotta give them that little taste of what's next.
No, I was just asking, like, because it must be rewarding though, because you can't set up a payoff in issue 2 because then you need to have a payoff in issue 5.
No, if anything, yeah, you have foreshadowing. Like for example, like the 3 of them getting together in issue 4 wasn't you know, it was like that, you know, the Avengers fighting like when they first met each other situation, right? You know, and that was issue 4, and now this is kind of like the Battle of New York, right?
So yeah, so I mean, this is what's going on, and you know, there's going to be some surprises, some twists. You know, hopefully people are going to die. That's my favorite part in any good story is when your favorite character dies. I mean, I'm rooting for his GF to get killed. Oh, I'm rooting for that.
Wow, you heartless bastard.
hey, when Gwen Stacy died, I clapped. I wasn't born yet, but I clapped nonetheless.
You were deep in the womb going, yay!
I was deep. And when she came back, I was very upset. When Stephanie Brown died, I cried. So we now understand where my allegiances are, everybody, in comics. They're dark and brooding. But anyway, not the point here. Metropolis is not for me. I got so many of these lined up. But obviously I'm not going to push too hard into this, but I do want to talk about the other stuff, which is the business side of stuff, because obviously Kickstarter is an interesting environment right now. And I think you're having an easier, perhaps less stressful Kickstarter than you've had in the past. And we're speaking about it briefly before we went on air, where I think the last time you funded, it took you a lot longer to fund than normal. And this time it's a lot faster,
Mm.
but it's always a challenge to fund because every economy, every quarter is different on Kickstarter
Oh yeah.
or whenever you launch. I don't know how many times you launched Nightwolf.
I try to do every quarter. I think last year I did only 3 campaigns, and that was just due to art delays. Um, but typically I like to do, if you know, 4 a year. This year I'm actually aiming for 5.
But the point I'm making is that every 10 weeks or every 12 weeks or every 13 weeks, there's different quarters have different,
Mhm.
positions depending
Yeah.
on taxes and stuff. Also, different years have different things going on. And what I was asking is that, I think because obviously you funded on issue 10, you funded on issue 9, but I think those were way more stressful. Where and if you don't know it off the top of your head, I'm not going to press you too hard on it, but I think it took you maybe like 2 weeks on issue
I
9
think
and
one was a week later than usual, and another one was probably about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. But usually it's within the first 2 days, like this one has been. So that was a nice relief, though that doesn't mean I put I don't let up on the gas. I'm constantly going. I mean, thinking about my next move. It's like a chess game, the whole time.
let's actually talk about that because obviously I don't know if it's a good sign. It could also just be that, somehow just people are waiting for this or they're super excited for this issue because they know it's a payoff issue. Or it could be that just things are getting back to normal on Kickstarter. And I'm curious what you think because, again, I'm not a comic creator. I see something very different in the industry that I'm in where eBay is just tougher right now. And,
Mhm.
and, and I find that people are very hesitant, and I find that sales are not great at the moment. And I find just even selling comics are rough in particular on eBay. But like, I don't know how Kickstarter is doing on that front because I see people struggling, but you seem to be obviously funding pretty quickly
Yeah,
too.
uh,
So
yeah. I mean, I think so, and I've kind of seen this, and I've talked to others about this. If you're established and you have an audience, I think you'll be fine despite which way the storm is blowing. I think people who are established will weather the storm no matter whether it's up or down or whatever. Um, I think people who are starting out or people who are starting with new issue ones, um, are kind of like having a little bit more of a rocky start. Just because I think people are, if they haven't already established, like obviously I'm in issue, 11 with this. So people are wanting the next issue. They want to be able to get it. So my wolf pack comes hard, at the beginning. And then some are just like, I'll wait till the end just because they like to do that for whatever reason. um, but but regardless, they come. And then I get new people in every time. Um, but like I said, I've seen people who are, you know, people don't. It's hard to trust because people have been burnt, right? So they're flocking to the people who they know and trust, and then they're seeing people who are still kind of putting out numbers, and that they see, okay, well, these people have been making stuff. You know what I mean? Um,
So let me ask you this, because I have a genuine question, and it's an odd one, right? And it's controversial to a degree. And it's just my thought process is that because on Kickstarter you need to be a jack of all trades in many ways.
hmm,
So you're just not the creator, you're the art director, you're the writer, maybe you're the artist and you hire a writer, you're the cover producer, you're the print order, but also what I feel is happening, and maybe this is just how I think, or maybe I want to break the mold, I don't know. But could it also be that, some people also are just and people are doing big numbers, maybe they're just good at marketing and they're cracking social media codes. And maybe part of the problem with all these people who are doing issue ones is that they're approaching it not from a marketing perspective, but from a creative perspective. And you need to approach it from a marketing perspective because, in certain ways, there could be a debate that's going on where could somebody make a comic, but they just know social media and they know how to create viral positions to capture people, and they fund 10,000 when they're a no name because they have a specialized skill in social media. And it's a really, because it goes back to, do you need an audience or do you really need a marketing skill? And this
Well,
is where I think it gets, and I'm just
I
curious.
have one argument to that. For example,
It's not an argument; it's just a thought out there. So
right,
you,
right. But I kind of have, but I have a rebuttal to that thought. Yeah, I mean, yes, it does help knowing marketing. However, marketing doesn't always help you. You have to have a decent enough product for people to even want it. Also, this is a great example. So Isaac Bell, he did a cover for me, and he just literally at 7 o'clock tonight launched for his third issue and trade paperback of Metal Shade. Right? He marketing wise, he throws posts out there occasionally, and he has done videos, but he's not like out there marketing like I am or like a lot of other people are. He's not doing Facebook ads. He's not doing a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? He's not. I wouldn't call him a marketing guru, but he is killing it because of his art style, because of his talent. So he's already surpassed where I am in a few hours, numbers wise. Not total backers. I'm sure he'll get there, but like he's already passed me funding wise because he's so talented. People want to buy his original artwork and they're paying thousands for it. Right? He's like I said, he's doing it basically on his talent, and he's a very talented artist, and his story is good, and it doesn't come out that often. So he's like I said, he's crushing it without the marketing part of that.
it's because the reason why I bring this up is that we're starting to see, and I don't know if you saw Owning Manhattan on Netflix, but that show, what Ryan Serhan, who sells $1 million worth of real estate in Manhattan, like $250 million apartments.
Mm-hmm.
What part of Serhan's position is that his whole position is that billions of dollars of makeup has been sold through social media, Instagram, TikTok. Why can't real estate be sold the same way? And that's where the thought process came from, is that why can't somebody, I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to figure it out, and I'm sure people have, but it's the idea that, what if you know how to make massively viral TikTok videos, but your comics average? And you like, and that's where this just becomes so interesting for me, is that, and that's where I think this debate comes from. And then again, I don't know the answer to it. I think in the long run, if you want to retain readership, because you can get anybody to buy something the first time, without a doubt. So if you want to be one and done and pull out 1 million and you market it correctly, you can do that all day. The question is that, can you do it a second time?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a shitty product, but you're
exactly, yeah. If you don't have quality, people aren't going to come back for it.
But if you pulled out 1 million, do you really need people to come? I don't know. Like but like the reason why I bring this up is that I think it's a really interesting discussion, because you need to be really good at a lot of stuff on Kickstarter, is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got to know everything, or at least you have to know a little bit of everything. I'm not saying you have to know when you be a master Facebook ad.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go in there blindly. That's for sure. You can't just go in there green and not know what you're doing. That's just what it comes down to. But like, yeah, I mean, you have to know kind of like what you're doing to an extent, and you kind of have to have an audience built up, prior to launching, regardless. Because if you don't have an audience, and I've said this many times, Kickstarter is the venue. You got to invite the guests. You know what I mean? Or else, if you go to the venue without inviting guests, you're just going to be the only one there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. And this is why we're seeing now everybody has a podcast, who has a comic. We're seeing it, and not everything is good that's published out of these people. I don't have a comic, and all I want to do is interviews, and that's it. I have no desire to create a comic. It does not interest me in any shape or any format. And they're so expensive that I would rather just take my money and buy an S&P 500 fund and sit and be quiet in the corner and just be like, I'm going to get rich very slowly. That's the solution. and I will retire with dignity. That's the solution. And but I digress. But I actually do want to go further into this because since we're talking about the whole Kickstarter sphere, I mean, obviously there are a lot of challenges in it. I think I don't know how printing is right now. I don't know if that's calmed down or if it's even worse than ever before. I mean,
I mean, I
because
don't think I've had an issue with printing, or at least knock on wood. I haven't had an issue with printing since like the paper issues like right after COVID. Other than that, I mean, you know, I have a good printer now who hasn't jacked up my books. So that's I'm happy with my US printer for my single issues, and I also have a printer overseas for my trades that I'm happy with. So that is one thing I could actually say is not part of the problem.
it's so interesting. Again, I don't know anything about printing, right? I don't know anything about this. That's why I asked these questions because I know there was problems. I know that I'm glad that apparently is solved for you. And then obviously, I mean, distribution is with Diamond. It affects indie and it doesn't affect indie because whenever there's a distribution problem with the big guys, it always trickles down. At least from my understanding,
Yeah, I
because
mean, the whole diamond thing doesn't affect me because I never was in diamond and I wasn't planning on it. However,
it affects you indirectly because it affects the whole market, right?
I
It
mean, in a sense, I mean,
it
for me, yeah, it does, it harms like the retail market for sure. However, you know, my distribution, I'm not in, you know, basically my distribution is if you back my Kickstarter at a retail level, I send it to you, you know, um, or I drive it to you if you're within a driving distance, you know, other than that, I mean, recently, I've actually just signed a distribution deal with SourcePoint Press to put out my trades into bookstores and retail stores through Lunar and through basically I think it's through Prana, and then they're distributing it to other places. Um,
so
but
let's talk about that, and we don't have to go into the contract per se, but what is that like? Because getting because obviously SourcePoint Press probably has access to some comic shops, to bookstores that you, in theory, could get access to, but they have it much easier, for lack of a better word.
oh yeah, I'm happy to let them do that.
It'll take you 50 phone calls to get a no, and it'll take them one to get a yes or a no, right?
Mhm. Right.
And so, but and so I don't think you're getting rich off of that deal per se, but you're getting into bookstores, you're getting your product out there, you're obviously getting readership out there
Mhm.
more than anything. And there is something to be said about having your book distributed in bookstore chains, seeing how it tests in the market. And there's some idea of clout there because it boosts you up as far as your stock is worth. I
Mhm.
don't know, like I'm just gonna state what it is, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's for me, it was a no-brainer because I was at the point where I have the first two trades of Nightwolf. I'm gonna have one for Snowpaw come this spring, and then in the fall I'll have volume 3 of Nightwolf. So for me, like the trades is where for me to even get into a retailer without losing on, you know, a single issue, like it's not even like it doesn't make any sense because like the cost of what it costs to print plus then getting wholesale, and then if I'm splitting that, you know, with a publisher, that's makes no sense. Whereas a trade, there's more of a margin there to play with and at least break even, so that it's for me it's more of a marketing tool to get my name out there, to get my name associated with a you know, a bigger name publisher and into bookstores like, you know, Barnes and Noble, where kids are picking up graphic novels and manga, all, you know, and
I'll ask you this. I'll ask you this because, and maybe my viewpoint from an outsider looking in is slightly different, but I don't think anymore people's books are the actual product in comics. I think the writer is the actual product, or the artist is the actual product. And when I say this, because an artist and a writer can move from, we'll use Marvel. They can move from Spider-Man to Daredevil. So the character is what people gravitate towards and enjoy,
Mm.
but the artist or the writer. So if all of a sudden your book does really well in a Barnes and Noble, and all of a sudden, somebody might say, "I want to hire you to write a script," or whenever you do your next thing, or a convention might say, "We want to have you as a guest,"
Mhm.
because what it does is that it lifts you up as the product. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying Nightwolf isn't a great product because it is its own product. But I think people forget that writers and artists are also products because you as a writer can move and you can create, a magical wizard comic if you wanted to at any point, right? And,
Right.
and, and so, like, I think the more, I guess, stock you get, and the more, I hate to use the word clout, right? Because that's not the right word, right? But the more feathers in your cap, if that makes any sense,
Mhm.
like, because that's what I think this really does. I think that's the real value of it. If you
Mhm.
ask me from an outsider looking in, is that they're inflating your and making you more valuable and pumping up your stock
Right.
for their.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I mean, so for me, I felt it was a smart play. One, it gets distribution out to places I can't get to, and it puts my name out there with Comic Cons. Like, hopefully, I'll be getting more guest spots, and hopefully, basically leveling up is where I kind of see this taking me.
And also, it's cool just to have your book in a bookstore. I mean,
Right.
let's
Right.
be real.
Exactly. Yeah. And I go take a picture and be like,
So my mom wrote a book, right? And it was published by a publisher and it was in bookstores. And there's something to be said about seeing something that you put out there on, shelves. And
"Mhm,
I don't know, like she could explain it better, but I would imagine it's very cool to know that somebody could pick this up in your local bookstore.
mhm."
So that's what I think at the very least. But you know, I think it's really interesting, and I think it's interesting that it's going to be a trade versus single issues. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it must be exciting, right?
It is very, yeah. I'm very excited for it to come out this year.
So let me ask you this: does that mean are you going to be kickstarting those trades on Kickstarter first, or is
Yeah.
it that straight to source point?
No, so I still own the IP 100%. I do with it as I will. The only thing I can't do it basically is I can't like go in and sell my. I can't go through Lunar or another distribution similar to what they're doing to put my singles or my trades in where they're at. Right. So basically it's a non-compete at that point, which is fine because I'm not in the retailers, except for people who are buying here, which is a different, from Kickstarter.
So, so,
Um,
so so you would not be prohibited from doing business at a comic shop,
no,
right? The direct comic shop sales,
yeah,
because that's not
yeah,
Lunar.
if they're coming to me, if they're coming through Kickstarter, that's a totally different story. I can't though distribute to widespread distribution, which is fine because, like I said, I mean, I'm not there, and the amount of people who are retailers buying retail tiers is like one or two per campaign. You know what I mean? So that's not like it's too huge. And my locals, I mean, really, they know me. I go in there and I do store signings.
No. It's so interesting, right? Because I find it fascinating, right? Because this whole business and everything in business I find fascinating, right?
Mhm,
And again, I'm not in this space. I don't have a desire to be in this space. I deal with tops and I deal with some wholesale stuff, and there are rules on that.
mhm,
They don't really care that I sell on eBay, but they have an MSRP attached to it. And it is if you're found out that you break that, well, you don't get product anymore, and that's not fun. And when you're making really good money, it's better to make a little bit of money than no money.
right.
So that's what I
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So I get the rules, right? But there's a reason I'm not pumping and pushing the contract for you. But that's still cool though. I mean, it's cool to be and having a distributor and a publisher behind you because
Mhm,
names matter. And I hate to
yeah.
say it, but there's something to be said about that. And then even going further, I mean, you can sell those books and those trade paperbacks probably on your own too at conventions,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah, so my basically what it is I'm reprinting volume 1 first. So we're starting with that first. Putting the Source Point logo on it, but I'm removing like the extra stuff, like kind of like the bonus stuff from the Kickstarter version, so that it's still, my Kickstarter books are still more exclusive than the mass produced retail versions that are going out in the stores. So they are getting a different book than, if you're coming to me at a con, you're getting the extra stuff that you'd be getting like from the Kickstarter. And so that's nice. And also, because I'm the one printing the books, whatever doesn't get sold comes back to me and I can sell those at cons. So um it's kind of, it's worthwhile that way in a sense.
So to even go into that too at conventions, I mean, I think also because you touched on it before a little bit, and to backtrack a little bit about new creators struggling. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but obviously I have 2,000 videos on YouTube. I have almost 1,200 interviews plus, and it's a little bit different when you walk into somebody who has 1,200 interviews under their belt and somebody who has 20.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about that, and I think the same thing can be applied when somebody has one issue at a Comic Con or a
Mhm.
con, or two issues on their table, and somebody has 10 or 12 or 11 or 15. I think there's something to be said about that. And I think that there's a psychological vote of confidence going on, because
Mhm.
I hate to say this, but everybody judges everything, and everybody has a level. Whether I mean, when somebody has 15 books out, they have a different viewpoint, and there's a different level of trust.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean those 15 books are good. It just means that they published 15 books. Doesn't mean that they're profitable or they made any money. It just means they have 15 books and they produce 15 things that are relatively linear, hopefully, or maybe it's 5 issues across, three different stories, right? So
Mhm.
5 issues a piece, or 15 issues, 5 different stories, or whatever it is. But my point is that, what is that like for you? Because when you go to a convention and you got 10 issues of Nightwolf out there and 3 or 4 issues of Snowpaw, there's something to be said versus the person sitting next to you who has their one issue.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's being in their shoes. And I've been there before, obviously. Being in the shoes of somebody who only has one book versus somebody who's been there for a long time, it is intimidating. However, it just gives you, it also, is one of those things that you'd be like, if you've done your table upright and look professional, um, you know, and have merchandise too. Like, my first time around, I had my single issue, I had prints, I had posters. My table was full, despite only having one book out. And it helped, with my sales. I feel like somebody starting out, that's something you should be aware of. Don't just go in with one book. Have stuff to fill your table. Bring people in. Have an attractive setup, and don't get discouraged when you see the people who've been there for a while. Learn from them, and just say, "Hey, look, they were in my shoes once. Look where they're at now." Use that as inspiration.
Did you also feel that, and we all do this, and I do it too, is that we all compare each other, and I compare myself against a lot of people, and then I have to stop myself and say, you know, we didn't all start off at the same place. We don't all start off in the same time period,
Mhm.
and growth is complicated.
Mhm.
And I forget, I think it was Tom Shalhoub who said, I started becoming happy when I started to compare myself against myself from 5 years ago, instead of comparing myself to my neighbor. Because and the joke is that he said, I wish I could be having a TV show like Jerry Seinfeld, a car collection like Jay Leno, and be just as funny as Louis C.K. And basically, Tom Shalhoub said that that person doesn't exist, meaning that, and have a family like Tom Shalhoub, have a wife and 2 kids like Tom Shalhoub. That person doesn't exist. They don't. And if they did, boy, would I like to meet them and hang out with them, right? So, like, I don't know if that's also the thing because it's really hard when you see somebody's campaign do $100,000 on Kickstarter and yours did 4,000, and you're like, "What am I doing wrong here?" Right? But if you did $4,000 on Kickstarter, you did $4,000 on Kickstarter. That means that people backed your project for 4 grand,
Mhm.
which is really amazing given the fact of all the shit you could spend money on in this world.
Yeah. No, that's true. Like people need to kind of like keep it in perspective to not compare it to others because, like you said, the journeys are different, the time periods are different, and it's really looking at back, especially in my case, looking back 5 years ago, I'm so far ahead of where I am, where I was back then. I mean, I looking at myself, it's just, hey, I keep going, I keep putting out more stuff. Like, heck, I have so much stuff now that I like my 2 tables at a con are full. And I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Because I'm not buying a third.
Again. It's I don't have those problems. I don't have a desire to go to a convention. I want to do the exact opposite. I want to get rid of all my shit. I would like my basement back and maybe set up a ping pong table where all my long boxes are. What I should really do is set the ping pong table on my long boxes. That's another option. But it's like it's just it is what it is. But I can't even imagine having so much shit that like you're like I need a third one now, and man, this makes me depressed. Like, it makes me like, failure. I'm just trotting a little bit along. I'm so boring. I'm so basic. And I'm like, I need a third table. God damn it! Like, it's you. Like,
Honestly, though, I think once I have, so I'll have the trade of like Snowpaw, and I'll have that third volume of Nightwolf. That's going to help me condense a lot because I think what I'll do is I'll bring like a long box or two instead of having all of the variants out like how I do. I'll probably have them in like a long box based on like the variant, like limited pricing. And then I'll have like the trades up front with like the standard issues, just, the people who just want the issues instead of the trades. I have been mulling this over for a while, thinking about how to condense back down.
get a spinner rack and Ava Capatilli is inventing one of those for a con table. It's like a miniature spinner rack, and it's brilliant. So I'm just saying, and you could customize it, and you could put Lone Wolf Comics on the top so people could see it from far away. It's perfect for you. I get no commission.
I'll look into it. I'll have to look into
I
it.
get no commission from this. I just think it's a perfect product. I should get a commission for this. I should really figure out. I should say I need an affiliate link because I bet you I could sell a lot of your product. A nice like 3 or 4% affiliate link. Oh, it'd be great. See, that's how I'm gonna make my real money.
There you go. You know people.
And maybe I could afford to eat this week. No, but no. I find this whole thing interesting, right? Because I'm in such a different space, right? And I can't imagine selling a comic, right? I understand the idea of what I think is selling, which is hook story offer. I understand that component, and I think selling collectively across the board is all the same at its core. The way you approach it, whether you're selling a car, a watch, a house, or a comic book, I believe is all the same at its core because it's that what does somebody want and how do you get them to have an emotional connection to the item so that you can, I hate to say it, but fulfill their emotional desire to purchase it and be happy, right? That's what I think selling is. But how you do it and why you do it and versus creating it is a different ballgame because I think creation is not selling.
No, yeah. I mean, you have to sell yourself as much as you sell the book, and you have to, especially at a con. Like when you're talking to somebody, you gotta remember why you're doing it and be excited about it, right? You got to remember that whole joy of why you're doing it, and then tell them about it. And then, once they kind of get a feel, that know, like, and trust that this book is going to be amazing because this guy is genuinely excited about what he's doing, and a lot of people are, you can't be off-putting, you can't be a jerk. You'd be like, buy my comic. I don't want to be here. Like nobody wants to buy from that guy.
I'm applying for jobs. And so like I'm in my kitchen, right? And I'm speaking to my mom and I'm like, just type in my cover letter, hire me, I have your wife kidnapped. Like that's the running joke, right? Because when you get a bunch of rejection, you say, what's gonna get somebody to stop to read my cover letter? Now you don't write that in your cover letter, but like that's called being a jerk in a cover letter, at least in my opinion. The reason why it's funny though is everybody's written that cover letter. That it's like I'm not getting anywhere, and if you don't hire me, I'm gonna kidnap your wife. So you better hire me. Like, but the point, I'm not doing it. I want to make that crystal clear, everybody. But again, it's the off-putting position, right? It's the same thing when somebody says no to me for an interview. I'm like, no worries, I will be here whenever you need me, and that's how I deal with it. And very rarely do I snap at somebody. I did it once this year because I didn't like the tone, and they were fucking around. But if somebody doesn't want to be on the show, I'm like, great, I'm perfectly fine with you not being on my show. Anytime you need me, I'm here. Feel free to reach out to me, and we'll work something out, right? But like, because you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
True.
That's how you offer free candy at your booth. And I'm full of this today. I'm full of this. This is what happens when I stop drinking. It's day like 27. I got to make it to the Royal Rumble.
Oasis. I'm so thirsty.
Oddly enough, I don't miss it. It's so weird. I don't miss it. It's so weird. Like I don't miss it at all. It's so weird. But I digress. That's a different conversation for a different day. But no, I find this fascinating. But the thing that I'm also curious about, because I was speaking to another creator, and this actually shocked me because I never heard any of this, where he said that some creators have stopped offering digital with their physicals. And the reason why is dealing with piracy and theft. And I knew that was a big thing back in the day with manga and illegal manga scans, but I have never heard of that before. And I've seen some campaigns that don't offer digitals with their physicals, but I don't know why. And I don't know how you do yours, if your physicals come with digitals or what that whole thing is, because that kind of blew my mind. And
I'm not afraid of the piracy situation. Because one, I mean, good luck trying to sell a book that you don't know and aren't excited about. You know what I mean? Like again, people know me, but people don't know me, right? So I'm technically still an unknown IP. I'm not Superman. I'm not Spider-Man. You're not making money off me, right? For me, I want to make it as accessible for people who want to read it. And I get people who buy the physical, get the digital, and read the digital and put the physical away for safekeeping. Like don't even bust it open. Don't even peel that tape off the bag and board. Or I just have people who are overseas who don't want to pay for the shipping, buying digitally. Or yeah, even here, people who've been with, like, I've seen a shift, like the amount of people who are buying digitally are increasing, and not because I'm increasing my prices, but it's because shipping, or just because their personal situation, they still want to read the story.
It's just so the first two questions on this, because first and foremost, I got no more room in my house. So digital for me is awesome, right?
Right.
It's like maybe like a digital $6-7. I'll take a flyer on it, and I'll be honest, I got no more room for people's shit, right? And I don't want any more packages coming to my house. I get enough packages every single week that I'm tired of packages. The FedEx driver knows me by my first name. That's a bad sign. And UPS knows me by my first name, not because I'm mean, but they're like, what card did you get? I mean, if you saw my Facebook and you're friends with me on Facebook, you saw the card I just pulled. And then my FedEx driver said, can we open it? And he was curious what I pulled because he knows I get a lot of cards. And it's an awesome card. It's a Stephanie Beaucaire auto 1 out of 5. So the point that I'm making is that, but like, that's a sign that you have way too much shit coming your way. And so when I don't have a digital, I don't have my FedEx driver saying, I got another package for you, Andrew. Like, it's not a bad thing, but like that. And I would imagine your house is probably full of stuff.
Oh, I mean, my office, let alone here. I'll give you a little bit of sneak peek. You see what's all that crap behind me?
My point exactly, right? There gets a position where you have no more space, right? and it's not even like you're like, where can I write my story? Where can I store this? Like, I don't have space. I don't have space to go buy 100 comics on a retail level. I just don't have any space in my basement for this. And to be honest, God forbid, let's say a pipe broke in my house. I mean, that could be tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars gone. Just like that.
Yeah.
So like that's part of it, I think, because I think people have no more fucking space. But that's what I think. And then the other thing is that, I mean, about the piracy is that, I mean, I just never heard that before. And so, but again,
I've always heard people like say, oh, I'm afraid it's going to get pirated. Well, is it though? And even is it worth their time? You know what I mean? Like, great. You know what? My thought is like, I have my name all over it. I have my website all over it. And it embedded in the stuff. So it's not like they can, unless they're like really photoshopping the crap out of it to get rid of that stuff. My thought is like, okay, well, if they look it up, maybe that's somebody who's like, oh, hey, the new issue of this book is out. Oh, that's not who I got it from, but this is the actual guy. I'm going to go from this guy.
I've had a discussion with people in the adult industry, and it's a very complicated issue about piracy, because on the one hand, your video or a part of your clip gets pirated and you're a porn star, adult star, but now it's been viewed 500,000 times. You didn't make any money on it, but 500,000 people know your name. Like there's something to be said about that. And then the other thing, though, is that they're like, I don't want it out there, though, unless it's me. And so there's a real complicated issue, because if your book, Nightwolf, got pirated, got onto a website, and was downloaded 500,000 times, and you didn't make a cent off it, you would be pissed, right? By definition.
I give my first issue away digitally all the time.
You understand where I'm going with this, though, right? You wouldn't be thrilled about it, but at the same time, you're like, 500,000 people downloaded this? That means potentially 500,000 people now know my name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because really, these pirates who are taking my stuff, if they're taking my stuff, they're basically distributing my name. It's the same situation as like distributing to the direct market. I'm not making money off of that. Like, I hope that I'm gonna break even, right? It's the same. It's technically it's marketing, right? And if let's say those 5,000 people want the next thing, 500,000, whatever.
Large numbers here. We're treating.
Who are all these people who have got the pirated copy? If they want to see the next one, maybe they'll come to me sooner. And who knows? It may,
The only counter I have is that I don't want somebody taking my podcast, right? Because that's a different entity, though, because it's a straight out digital product, and I don't want somebody to take pieces of my podcast, cut it up, and put it on their YouTube channel. That to me is a very different entity, right? So if somebody took your book, somehow cut it up, and then went to a print shop and printed it, right? That's completely different versus distributing a digital file.
Right, exactly. Though
Those
the
two things have
quality, any digital files I have out there aren't going to be print quality, so they're definitely going to look like shit.
that's crazy. That's just terrible. That's just terrible. But like the
I'm
point.
not giving high res digital copies. I mean, it's enough that you can read it on your phone or your computer, but you're not going to be able to print it. It's going to look pixelated as get out.
That's at least you're honest. At least you're honest. At least you're honest. I appreciate the honesty here. That's great. That's just great. But like,
Well, I mean, that and it saves file delivery. I mean, the higher the res, the more, the higher, the file sizes and downloads. Sometimes you can't even upload them to websites when they're too big.
You don't think I don't know that from this show? You know how much video occupancy?
Right, that's what. But you know exactly what I'm saying. You don't want to put the high res out there. Print files do not belong as a download because one, it takes forever to upload if you could even upload it, and two, downloading it then takes forever. And if you like stop your computer and it falls asleep, you got to do that shit all over again.
Oh my God, you should see how I upload on YouTube. I have to put my Mac onto a 12-hour YouTube timer when I'm uploading videos.
God,
Now, granted, I'm uploading 50 videos at once.
That's insane.
At night, on my desk, and it's my Mac is a workhorse. It's a workhorse. But I right now on my Mac have about 250 gigs worth of videos that have to be uploaded on YouTube. And and the way you get this is you cut up interviews, big interviews, small interviews, full interviews, piece of interviews. It adds the fuck up.
Oh yeah, especially if they're like an hour or two a pop.
Even so like if I cut up a 3-minute clip, it's about 600 to 800 megs. Right. But try doing that when you're getting 8 out of an interview to 12. It's a lot of fucking content. So it basically means that every interview, that I cut up is about 4 gigs worth of data. That
sounds about right.
It's insane. And then times that right now I have 33. No. Yeah, 33 on a cycle, right? It's a lot of fucking content. It's a lot of fucking content. It's legitimately 250 gigs on my Mac. I mean, my Mac is a 500 gig hard drive, and it's just like it's eating up my Mac. It's pretty sick.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, believe I in college I did 3D animation as an undergrad. And so I did graphic design, and it was like that was my minor, if you will, for the 3D animation. And I remember coming into the lab for my final, like at the end of the year, basically loading up every single computer to do a scene. So I had to let them render the scene, all these computers, and I had to go around and make sure none of them fell asleep to be able to get through the end of and then I had to grab them all onto like a big old hard drive, portable hard drive, because that's what they were back in the day. Were like this big for like not even 500 gigs, and then try and put all these together to be able to go and then splice them together in in the video editor.
I go through a lot. It's so brutal, and oh my God. But the nice thing is that once it's on YouTube, I delete it off and it's on YouTube forever. As long as YouTube allows me and YouTube doesn't decide to kick me off, which every once in a while they don't like a picture I put up. And that's because I put interesting pictures up. Let's just leave it at that. Not political pictures of attractive women at 4 a.m. because somebody's up at 4 a.m. and needs it. Hey, I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of the people here. I know somebody's having a rough time on a Wednesday at 4 a.m. somewhere in the world, and they need it, and I'm here for them. And I'm here for you guys. I mean, who I got coming out at 4 a.m. I got a whole slew of people. I got everything from Cardi B to Shania Twain to you name it, to Lauren Phillips. If you're lonely at 4 a.m, I got you covered on YouTube. Is all I'm gonna say. And all you have to do is subscribe. That's all you have to do. Or not subscribe. But I appreciate people subscribing because I'm a 4 a.m. guy. I'm your 4 in the morning guy when you need me, because I know we all have those days. But anyway, getting back to you, completely getting back to you, and not 4 in the morning. And Nightwolf could be at 3 in the morning if it wants to be on my YouTube community page. And no, actually, the three in the morning is card time. 5 in the morning is open for you anytime you want it. Because somebody might say, you know what? It's one of those Wednesdays where I need a 5 o'clock, I need a 3, a 4, and a 5 o'clock. It's kind of like, the seventh inning, eighth inning, and ninth inning guy in baseball.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's pretty much my whole YouTube community page, because I know people need it. I don't know why they need it. I stopped asking questions a long time ago. I'm just a man of the people, and I say, you don't tell me why you need it, I'll just provide it. And then I'll walk away this way, you walk away that way, and it's like a drug deal without any drugs. It's great. No cash is exchanged. It's wonderful.
There you go.
But yeah, so obviously we because I was just curious about the PDFs and that protection, because again, I never heard of that before, and it blew my mind. I didn't even know it was a thing. But I digress.
I'm not even entirely sure it is a thing, but people think it's a thing.
I don't know. I never heard of it. Like, I'm like, what the fuck's this? Like, every once in a while, you come across me, you're like, is this a thing? Because I'm so out of the scene, right? Like,
I mean, it's almost like the people who are afraid to put their stuff out before they have the book published because they're afraid that somebody's going to steal their idea. But it's like, nobody wants to steal your idea. Everybody they have their own idea. But it's, especially an idea that doesn't have any validity yet.
And also an idea that's expensive to make. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to steal an idea when every idea in comics costs anywhere from 6 to what, 10K.
Yeah.
Being generous. I mean,
yeah, exactly. If you really want to take somebody's idea and spend the money before they do, good luck.
No. Then you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. If I take and I steal your idea hypothetically, and I want to spend 10 grand, and I take it, and you put out 2 pages, and then I take that and I run with it, and I do it better than you, and I did it for 10 grand, and you're gonna get to it, I deserve to steal it, right? And you just have to take the L. You don't have to be happy about it, but I spend the money to do it, right?
Well, I mean, if you the question is, were they smart enough to copyright it prior? Because
that is true. That
is something I did do.
That is true. But I'll give you a better example. If I created a werewolf comic of them just playing poker, right?
Then it's werewolf book with playing poker. It has nothing to do with mine. It's just
But you could be upset saying, this motherfucker took a werewolf idea and this book is so adorable. God damn it. Like, and you could be pissed about it because it could hurt or help your book. But at the same time, if I spend 10 grand to do it, that's that, right?
I wouldn't be pissed about it. You know how many people have come out and done werewolf things after they saw how far and how successful my book has been? And
I'm zero. Like, zero, because you've done it so well. No.
I'm just saying, I swear, they came out of the woodwork. Everybody's got a werewolf in their book now.
It's whatever. I'm too lazy to write a comic. I'm too lazy. It's I got a million things, and I'm more concerned about LeBron James making it to his next season in basketball and then doing a comic. Have you seen Father LeBron lately?
I don't follow him.
Why don't you follow him? I
don't follow basketball, actually. So I don't. Why would I follow him?
So this is your anti-Laker. That's what this is about. I see what it's about. You just don't like that they got Doncic and Austin Reeves and they got LeBron on the same team, and that's what you're upset about. I understand. I get it. I understand completely. You don't want a world championship in LA. That's okay. I get it. I'm very upset now. The only saving grace here is the Nuggets won, and I had money on the Nuggets. So you're so far inches away from me ending this podcast, but we're not there yet. Just inches away. No, it's fine. But Father LeBron, it's whatever. Father Time catches up to all of us.
Mhm.
But I do want to talk about your rewards because obviously you got some heavy hitters in there. You got Carlos Herrera, who I think works on the book, and
Yes.
he's the interior artist on that.
Mhm.
You got CB Zane. You got Chris Mad, who I interviewed. You got Chris Williams on there. You got, I don't know how to say this person's name. You're gonna have to say it for me. Bell. I,
Isaac Bell.
that's Isaac Bell. Again, I've never seen Isaac spelled that way. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's how he spells it.
I didn't want to be insulting, right? Like because I was gonna say like Isaac or like I don't know. Like, I don't want to be a dick. Like, so again, this is why I ask people, say, hey, look, I'm not too sure how to say this name, right? So you got his cover
Mhm.
out there. You got Jaden Lanning, and that's a newer artist, I think, right?
She is, yes. She's very young too.
So and then you got Gregbo doing some stuff.
Mhm.
And Greg was doing a NSF cover, and so is Jaden doing an NSF cover. And then I think Greg was doing a super NSF cover or super not safe for work cover,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like a short print.
Going the extra mile.
So in cars, for those who don't know the reference, there is what's called a short print, and there's a super short print. So there's an SP. So it might be like a 1 in 25, and then a super short print is like a 1 in 50. So for every card, every 50 cards printed, the super short print is printed, and for every 25 of the regular, one short print is printed. It's so the Gregbo is kind of crazy, and I think is that your first full like frontal that you've
No.
done?
Mm,
It isn't. I thought it was.
no. There's been a couple. Like if you go down into like the one of the higher tiers, it has a bunch of them. They're half of them are, half of them aren't.
Oh, that I didn't know. I didn't remember. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, it's depends on the artist and their comfort zone as well.
Also, does it depend on also the cover as well? Because certain covers I don't think would lend themselves to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, like there's like certain ones that like in the position that they're in. I mean, you can't just have like full spread eagle all the time.
No,
It gets
if you
boring.
have Snowpaw fighting Black Claw, it might not make sense to have a not safe for work cover, right? Because
Right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, my action ones I typically don't. Those are more for like the not safe ones are usually the pinups.
yeah,
Any of the regular like covers that I would take to a con, those don't have a not safe.
because doing a cover, I mean, I feel it has to make sense, right? You
Mhm.
can't just put nudity on a cover and then say have at it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
n-
There's. I mean, obviously it's got to be. The idea still has to relate to the book in some fashion.
And then obviously, I mean, you can get all of this, you get combos of this stuff. Again, I get it. I get the whole reason why people do nude covers, not safe for work covers. I don't get full frontal. I get topless. I just don't get full nudity. I don't really get it. I still don't get it. It doesn't commute in my head. And the reason why is that I don't want to picture something when I could have the real thing. But that's just how I feel. But I guess maybe I'm the odd one out here because they sell, right?
They do. They do.
I get topless. I get topless completely. Also, the issue for those who don't know is that eBay really hates full nudity because they say it's porn, and it's against eBay's policy. And if you violate it, you get a suspension for 7 days on eBay.
Hmm.
So if I list that book, 7 days on eBay in a high time could be anywhere from a G to 3 grand in my eBay business.
Right.
So I'm sorry that I'm not picking up that book because you could legitimately cost me 3 grand in a week with that book. Nothing wrong with the book per se, nothing wrong with anybody buying it. It's not my cup of tea. It's that like I legitimately cannot sell the book because it's that high of a risk for me.
Well, which is fine. You know, they can buy it from me.
They can buy it from you. They can do whatever they want. Topless, eBay is somewhat fine with it, if you do it tastefully and you know what you're doing. But it's kind of crazy. But the thing that I think is also really interesting is you have a reasonable retail price tier,
Mhm.
because I think it's what is it 10 or 20 books for 60.
20,
So what does that amount to? Three a book?
250 plus, and then I think the shipping is also in that as well.
That's crazy. Because that's my biggest problem with indie retail is that I need enough money that I can make my position back. And whether I'm a brick and mortar store or on an eBay store, I need enough room on retail to make money.
Mhm.
Because most people don't understand that I'm paying 13%. Shipping is a bitch. I mean, I don't know how much shipping is for you, but it's anywhere from $6 to $12 on eBay for me.
I would say to pack 20 books, probably like above 12
For how many?
for 20 books.
For me, shipping on eBay, it's anywhere from 6 to 8 to ship up to about 5 or 6
Yeah. But if you
correctly.
do, yeah, if you do, so like for me, like with 20 books, and when I package them, make sure they're all nice bubble wraps, protected bagging board, and all that, and then ship them ground advantage. It's usually pretty affordable.
But my point that I'm making is that that's why I find your retail package should be fascinating, because 20 books at 250 or 3 a piece, there is room to make money
Mhm.
for people, because even if you're a brick and mortar store, you have to calculate square space in
Mm.
your brick and mortar store, and this is a whole different component. Again, I'm not interested in breaking down economics for people, but there is a cost to picking up those products. And just because you're not paying 13% on eBay doesn't mean you're not paying 3% somewhere else, or not paying square space for on your rent. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, I think it's very conscious, because I've seen retail packages where it's like 10 bucks for $100. And I'm like, how the fuck do I make money with your book?
Yeah, no, I do it, with with the retail tiers. I make sure that it's worth their while. They're going to get the wholesale just like anybody else I would deal with, you know, because it's got to be worth their while too. They got to make their money.
Because it's also because part of it is that you want to sell books, and the other part is that you also want to reach places you haven't reached, right?
Right.
Because the customer on my eBay store, hypothetically, if I was to pick it up, is not going to be the same customer in a comic shop. It's not going to be the same customer in a Kickstarter.
Right.
And it could be very much a new customer. And you want me to do well, because if I don't do well with your book, I'm not coming back to pick up a retail package from you again.
Right.
You want me to have to call you up and be like, I keep selling out of your book. I need more of it. Right.
Right.
So that's the theory behind it. But some people don't get that. They don't get it.
Yeah, no, they're just trying to gouge their profit margin, and they don't think about the retailer. For me, I'm not making any money off the retailer. I want them to make the money. I want them to spread the name. I want them to, like I said, it's marketing.
You just want to break even, and you just want to make sure you don't
Yeah.
lose money.
As long as I'm not losing money on it, I'm happy to break even, to give them that opportunity to make some money and to spread my name.
That's how I feel about my $1,800 Stephanie Care auto card. Really expensive card. Really expensive card. Massively expensive card. It technically is. It's actually probably the most expensive card I've ever pulled. Technically, I actually think it's worth more than that. I think it's worth more like 25,
Oh wow.
100 on a $170 pack. So I lose money on the basis, but I made so much on that, and I'm probably gonna sell it to some Saudi prince at some point for like 5 grand. Somebody said, "How much do you want for it?" I said 3,500.
Wow.
I would cry selling it for 3,500. I really would. It's such a beautiful card. It's such a beautiful card. I mean, for those who don't know what it looks like. I mean, it's such just a beautiful, beautiful card. It's so elegant. It's so beautiful. That's how it looks. It's just such a beautiful card. In so many ways. For all the wrong reasons, all the right reasons. It's an expensive card, and I might keep it. There's 16 of them, or maybe there's 17 of them in the world, and I want to find all 17 of us. I found 3 of us so far, and I want to find all 17 of us. I want all of us to go to dinner, and then I want to get Stephanie Volcare there, call WWE, have her sit at the head of the table, and we'll all wear the card like Logan Paul, and it'll be such a trippy event. That's what I want to do.
That would be interesting.
It'll
You
be like,
definitely need that televised.
oh, absolutely. I mean, we're gonna film this thing. I mean, no way WWE's not buying into it. I mean, I'll produce it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be such a troll. It's gonna be brilliant, and it's gonna be like the greatest thing ever because it's never been done. Where there's 17 of a card, and everybody's at dinner who has the card, and she's at the head, but she won't know until we all take out, and then she'll like just show up like, what the fuck? It'll be great. I'm gonna make it happen. Just watch.
Do it.
JC, but you can't come because you don't have the card. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'll watch the televised event.
Oh, it's gonna be great. But obviously, I mean, we spoke about a lot of stuff here, and I'm gonna give you a chance to promote yourself. But where do you think that comics are going? Because you obviously have had a better 3 days than the last run you did on Kickstarter, and it's just as fast. So you always fund. I don't want to like dismiss you that you don't always fund, because you do. But like, where do you see it going? Because I don't know. I don't have a sense on the year on comics, and you might have a better sense than I do.
Honestly, I'd say it's too early to say. I'm actually, I was pleasantly surprised that this one has been off the gates doing faster than the last few. I'm hoping, I'm not saying that it's happening. I'm hoping that things are getting regulated and back to normal. Or, who knows? Or at least, right, he just kind of like stays, relatively good for the rest of my campaigns this year.
You don't really care about anybody else except yourself. No, I'm just teasing.
Look, if I didn't care about anybody else, I mean, I share people's stuff all the time. I try to promote the community as much as possible. I'm constantly sharing out campaigns on my Facebook.
I know. I'm taking a jab because I know it's a joke, right?
Oh, of course. But the people out there don't know what you're joking about.
Oh, they. I mean, if you don't know my show at this point, then I mean, I'm the guy who asks porn stars what they think of men. So those are the fun ones. Those are the fun ones, and you'd be surprised the answers. There are several, and there's some interesting stuff in there, and it's actually indicative of America, and it raises a lot more questions than you think, and it's really interesting what they think, right? It's really interesting what they think. Spoiler alert: a bunch of them are not fans of the new age man. Spoiler alert. Which also, but they give their reasons why. Fascinating question. I could make a whole podcast about that alone. And I'd have kind of the next 6 years. It'd be like Dave Bautista in the second Knives Out. It'd be great. But not the point here. But again, obviously, you do share a lot of people's stuff out there because a share can be worth more than money in certain aspects. But also, money's nice. Money's nice too.
I've backed over 1,000 campaigns, man. I support the community.
I used to support the community. Until a bunch of stuff happened when I needed support, and I didn't even need money. I just needed interviews. A bunch of people just were not there when I needed an interview, when I was there from day one, and they were higher up and doing more stuff. And it really rubbed me the wrong way because I needed certain interviews at certain times with people when they were climbing up. And I lifted people up when they were building their companies and when they were at the top, they forgot the little guy. So, it rubs me the wrong way, and I'm not going to name names, but they have an idea who they are. But again, I don't focus on it too much because, again, I try not to be negative and just, but I'm going to keep supporting the little guys. I like interviewing the up and comers. I like the new age kids coming out, man. I really do. It's the same thing with the indie wrestlers. They're the most hungry, and I think they're arguably the most creative. Like the people who are like 22, 23 writing comics right now, I think are the most creative they've ever been. And I think they're fearless. And I think that they're coming up with crazy ideas that are going to put us all be like, man, why didn't we think of that?
I just wish that I had the tools I have now when I was in my 20s, because I'd be a hell of a lot farther along
I
instead of
wish
starting in my 30s.
I'm 33 and I can't fail. That's the problem, right? I can't fail because I can't rebuild in my 30. I'm 33, man. I mean, I'm not saying I mean
You're
if
10 years younger than me.
but you understand. So I take a lot of risk, but like in the stock market, but like I can't take a risk on a comic because if I fail and I lose 10 grand, that's so much harder to rebuild when I'm 33 than when I'm 23.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and it's a real problem for me to be because it's preventing me from doing that. And I don't know how to get over that or do it, or it might just be that I'm trying to be a responsible adult, and being a responsible adult sucks sometimes. And it's unfortunate where it's just like I can do this because this is $500 a year. That's it. If this thing fails and I lose $500 a year, that's not catastrophic. If I lost 10K, it's pretty catastrophic.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But I digress. Not trying to be negative, but obviously I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, disturb you, back your campaign, backer kit, because you got some cute little pups on backer kit, I think.
Yeah, they just launched today. Yeah, the Bentopia event. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of one of those things. I was like, well, I can't pass that opportunity up. But even though I'm ready to do this, so I was like, hey, let's cross promote myself. But yeah, so you can find Nightwolf on Kickstarter. The short link is nightwolf.lonewolfcomics.com. That'll take you to that very long and arduous Kickstarter link. And also, you can find me at Lone Wolf Comics, Facebook, X, Instagram. You can also find me at Rob Multari, the same three places. LoneWolfComics.com. Also, the Wolfpack Pups, you can find them at wolfpackpups.com. And you can also find them, the Wolfpack Pups on X, Wolfpack Pups on Facebook, and WPPUPS at Instagram, because I couldn't get them all the same.
Yeah, no, and I'm saying it is that if you like certain things and you want to see more of it get made, you got to back it. It goes a long way. Backing is a big thing. People got campaigns, you should back them. And then also following people on social media, sharing things out, liking things, telling somebody, hey, I really like your book. If you bought it, telling a friend, all that helps tremendously. And a lot of this stuff is free. Sharing a link out or sharing a post on Facebook out is absolutely free. So there's no excuse, or Instagram, or just liking an Instagram post goes a long way. As far as I'm concerned, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter. I tweet a lot about football, and boy, am I creative with my tweeting on football. It is a spectacle. It is magical. It is mystical. That as far as I can go with that without getting a copyright strike. It is not blue jeans and ice cream. I just want to make that crystal clear here. But yes, so Sunday, 3 o'clock and 6:30. I mean, let's go Patriots, right? And let's go Seahawks. Screw the Rams. And the Broncos are fucked. And I'm sorry if you're a Broncos fan, but I am going to be tweeting a lot during that game. And trust me, if you want to have a good time on Twitter, just follow me on Twitter. Football season, it's gonna be great. I don't tweet during basketball season, and I sure as hell don't tweet during baseball season. But football season, so creative. That's the only reason why you should follow me on Twitter. Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. Got some cool stuff up there. Don't really post much on there, but you can follow me there anyway. Facebook, same deal, Pop Anime Comics. TikTok, I post a lot of stuff on TikTok. Have a good time there. That's a fun place, and a lot of short clips there. And then the big thing that I do is YouTube, right? So obviously I got I published my 2000th video yesterday.
Oh,
So I have
congratulations.
2,000 videos on YouTube. I'm gonna have another by the end of the year, like 2,300. So there's something for everybody. I got over 1,200 interviews up there. I got a lot of micro content. So you name it, it's up there. There's something for everybody. I've done everybody from voice actors to wrestlers to people in crypto to business to writers to adult stars, obviously comic artists, writers. Some of your favorite people have been on this show. A lot of people have been on this show, and some people you might have never heard of too. And I got a lot of really cool stuff coming in the next probably 9 months. And I got a lot of cool guests coming, and you never know who's going to show up. You never know who's going to show up, when they're going to show up, how they're going to show up, and why they're showing up. And that's the whole thing. And since football season is ending, I'm now going to be interviewing a lot more on Thursdays. So definitely you could check me out there. So got a lot of that. And then the final thing is my eBay store, everybody. So look for Comps and Collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. And I have a lot of cool stuff there. I got this right here. I got these books in my store. I got these books right here. I got this stuff in my store. Is some of the stuff I sell. And then I sell cards like this and stuff like this as well. And I've been saying it for a long time. First and foremost, first off, check out my eBay store if you're looking for comics or cards. I offer cards from anywhere from $4 all the way up to $1,500 plus. And if you're looking for something in particular, go through my eBay store. If it's not there, shoot me a message on eBay because I may have it. It just might not be listed. If I got it, I am more than happy to list it for you and sell it to you. If I do not have it, because sometimes you can't get everything or you don't carry certain products, I know a lot of people, both in comics and in other eBay sellers who do have it, and I'm more than happy to direct you to the right environment so you get what you want. And so that's the whole thing with eBay. So that's anything I got going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to give you the final word.
Yeah. So thank you again for having me on. If you guys are out there interested in Nightwolf, please go to nightwolf.com. Nightwolf.lonewolfcomics.com. Again, it's a story about a young man who finds out he's born a werewolf, gets thrown into a supernatural war against demons, witches, vampires, other werewolves. I also have a second series called Snowpaw, which is Nightwolf's mentor and her story in the 19th century Scotland. You can get all the books through my campaign, or grab the Nightwolf ones. And if you want to grab some stuff, you can go to now. You can grab some at lonewolfcomics.com in my online shop.
And I don't think I could have said that any better myself, anybody. And so I believe that is a wrap.